Yeah, Austin, you said you were going to probably talk to Larson. I was curious if you did and how that conversation went.
Yeah, Kyle and I got connected on Monday, and I thought we had a good talk. Kyle, took responsibility on the end of the race there, which obviously ended our race, and kind of talking about it doesn't really unwreck my race car, but I think we're on the same page is kind of what the expectations are moving forward, racing together, and I think it's important that it's about all I can influence is talking about it, but look, I hope to race Kyle, and I certainly have a lot of respect. But I know if I want to win in this series, I'm certainly going to have to race against him a lot more. So, I certainly expect us to be at that level, throughout the year, and I just expect it to be better than what we had on Sunday.
Did you give Jeff Andrews a business card to try to get that conversation with Kyle? How did that come about?
I did. I figured I would need to explain that today. So essentially, when the race is over, I was helping my guys load the car, and as you're standing there, we're the first hauler, and I can't say I was really in a very good headspace to want to talk to anybody. So, but at the same time, knowing that this is something I definitely wanted to discuss with Kyle, and it was like, okay, well, if somebody comes up to me, I'm just going to give them my phone number and be done with it. And then I realized in my backpack, and I haven't used one of these since like 2016, but I do have a stack of business cards that I brought around with me, like going to the Rolex, like as a teenager, handing them out to team owners and team managers. So I still had all of them in my backpack, and I saw Jeff Andrews and Jack Canals standing over by the 24 hauler. So I figured that was a good way of ensuring that I would get my conversation that would be a lot healthier than just showing up at the racetrack, because, sometimes guys will reach out to you. Sometimes guys won't. I don't have like a super close relationship with Kyle by any means, so it's not like he's got my number. So it was, I guess, my way of saying, "Hey, we really need to talk about this," and in a way that was going to be non-emotional for me, because at the time I was pretty frustrated.
What could he say to you that would make a difference at that point? And would he say anything? And it's interesting to watch because we're not in the cars. It's the end of the race. Denny Hamlin said, I'm sick of hearing, well, that's just super speedway racing, and you can't use that as an excuse all the time. There's a lot to digest and break down. So would there be anything he could say at this point or has said back?
Well, I've always viewed it, and whenever I explain to people that don't often consume, especially, what if it's drafting style races or just NASCAR racing in general, it's a very social sport for a few different reasons. One, there's so many high level drivers. Two, we have so many races on the schedule. And three, we spend the majority of our time racing instead of just driving. And I think that's what separates NASCAR from really all other forms of motorsports. So you have all these kind of individual existing relationships with all the drivers that you compete against. And I think it's important to talk because you got to share perspectives and share experiences. Like I said earlier on this call, like it doesn't make anything better. It doesn't, give us points. It doesn't do anything for my season to have that conversation. But I think the words that you can share are fantastic, but as long as you're able to follow through, and I think those conversations are kind of between drivers and are all managed differently. But like I said, I think it all comes down to what that looks like on track and how that respect is shared. And if it's not, or if it is, I feel like having more open relationship to talk about things and work through things is the first step to getting better.
And then quick follow-up. I am a little surprised that you don't have Kyle Larson's number. I figured you would have every Indy 500 driver's number, being such a fan of the race. But how many drivers' numbers do you have? And is that part of like your philosophy? You hear like Ross Chastain say, I bring my friends with me to the racetrack. I don't make friends at the racetrack. Do you subscribe to that sort of same philosophy?
Well, not many. I do not have many of my competitors' phone numbers. First of which, I'm not a very social person. I don't view getting to know people away from the racetrack as, if anything, it's a competitive distraction, for me. So I have people that I'm friendly with. I mean, I have guys that I enjoy spending time with. I feel like I have a good relationship with my teammates on and off the racetrack. But yeah, I think I'd say the majority of the Cup field I'm not in contact with really at all. Honestly, if it doesn't take anyone, it doesn't take much to realize, like, you look at the driver intro stage and you kind of see who likes talking to each other. And most of the time I'm kind of just sitting at the front of it waiting for the race to start. So it's kind of the only thing that really matters to me because, at the end of the day, I think it's just easier for me to separate it all. If we're just competitors and that's the only relationship that exists, I feel like that's a lot simpler for me.